Japan has unveiled the name of its new imperial era this week, ahead of the emperor's abdication set for May. While interpretations on the new name Reiwa vary, much attention is being drawn to the incoming emperor, Naruhito, and his foreign policy directions. Today, we discuss in depth on Japan's opening of a new era and the possible effects on Korea-Japan relations. For that, Chairman Kim Sang-woo of East Asia Cultural Project now joins us in the studio. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off by diagnosing the current Korea-Japan relations. It's no secret that the two neighboring countries' relations have gone somewhat sour following a series of diplomatic rows, ranging from compensation issues regarding Japan's wartime forced labor to low-altitude flyover by Japan's patrol aircraft. How do you assess the current Korea-Japan relations?
I think it's the lowest of low. As far as I can see, I think the cause is responsibility of this is on both sides, because Korea, we're both caught in the past. We are prisoners of history. Korea continues to demand compensation, apologies. Japan says, enough is enough. We've done all the apology and compensation that we deserve, and therefore we would no longer comply to that. Now that has made serious problems, because each side is not working towards resolving this issue.
Right.
What they are doing is blaming each other, that the fault is on their side, and therefore the attitude towards having an improved relations for the future is only in rhetoric. There is no movement towards that direction. And I think this is a very, very serious situation that we face at the moment.
I think prisoners of history, as you put it, I think it's a very simple and clear way of expressing how Korea-Japan relations are now. Now, to adding fuel to this, Japan recently approved elementary school textbooks that renewed false territorial claims on South Korea's easternmost Dokdo Island. Now, it's been an annual event for nearly a decade, but what is Japan's motive behind the false claims every year?
Well, actually, I personally think that the way we dealt with this problem was not the correct way. We are in de facto control of the island. We do not need to react every time that Japan makes a claim on something that we already occupy. We should have not complied with the way that Japan was consistently and persistently trying to make this an issue. We should have stuck with being a non-issue. Now Japan wants to take this to the International Court of Justice, which is something that we should never do, because it is undoubtedly, Dokdo is our territory. But the Japanese new text has changed. There's a change in one context. They, in the past, said that the territory was theirs. But now they say the Dokdo is a native territory, which means that Dokdo belonged to Japan all along, which is something that we actually can contest, because before 1905, and in many cases in the 16th century, 17th century, 18th century, even Japan acknowledged that Dokdo belonged to Choson. So my feeling is that what we should have done was to quietly and consistently gathered evidence and made a claim and address the international community, academic organizations, the media, in a quiet way, not so loud and boisterous like the Japan wants us to be doing. So in that sense, I think low-key is better for us, because we already occupy Dokdo.
So it's not very wise to make this issue too big of an issue. But the National Assembly's Education Committee today has adopted a resolution demanding Japan to correct its elementary school textbooks regarding its false Dokdo claims. Could this be a viable solution to this years-old problem?
Politicians are politicians. They always try to impress the public, saying that they have done something to appease or to appease the public sentiment. Of course, Japan will not comply.
Right.
Yes, they will stick to their position as they've done. The situation will prolong. It will for the foreseeable future, but I think that what we need to do is get the international community on our side. So quietly gather materials, gather evidence, and continuously approach the academic community, the media, governments, and try to gain their approval.
The diplomatic friction also seems to be affecting Korea-Japan economic relations. President Moon Jae-in also during a meeting with foreign investors last week assured Japanese investors that economic exchanges should be dealt separately from political issues. How do you see the effect of the diplomatic rows on Korea-Japan economic relations?
Well, the business leaders since 1959 have met every year. But this time, they have postponed that meeting, although it was scheduled to take place in May at Lotte Hotel. They have postponed it beyond September, which means that it may not even take place. The only 2 times that this meeting, this conference, this gathering, had been not held was under natural disaster, when East Japan had its earthquake, and when we had our impeachment in 2017. Those were the only 2 times in the 50 years that the economic leaders did not meet. So it is a serious situation. And although President Moon has said that he will separate politics and the economy, up till now, that has not been the case. And in a way, it is understandable because this year is the 100th anniversary in March. It's the 100th anniversary of the 1st of March independence movement.
Right.
And this month, we have the 100th anniversary of the establishment of the provisional government of Korea. So the mood in Korea is very anti-Japanese, I would say. And therefore, relations to improve will have to wait.
We'll have to wait. Judging from that, Japan also appears to be taking this very seriously. Now, moving on to Japan's new imperial era, Japan has unveiled the name of its new imperial era ahead of Emperor's abdication set for next month. The name Reiwa is now being interpreted in various ways. What's your take on the new name?
Well, one thing that is very interesting is that this name, or this era, new era name, was selected from the old ancient poem of Japan. The other names of eras were all taken from Chinese classics. So when Abe adopted this, he reminded me of someone being similar to Trump, Japan first. He is very much gaining popularity and support and approval within Japan due to his strong position and stance against Korea and also other countries as well.
Right.
So he is enjoying this current popularity for maintaining his government and his prime ministership for a number of more years, I would imagine.
Now, much attention is focused on the incoming Emperor Naruhito. Could you tell us about his stance on South Korea-Japan relations? Do you think the beginning of Naruhito era could serve as a turning point to the soured Seoul-Tokyo relations?
If he's anything like his father, yes, because the Emperor Akihito has several times sent his message of apology. And I think the son, the new emperor, will also take that position. So it can be a kind of a breaking away from this current stalemate into something more positive. Hopefully, the royal family or the royal family will continue to gain the support of Abe government. You know, the LDP and Abe government is mainly supported by the Japanese League. And this Japanese League is actually sponsored by the 80,000 Shinto Association. And the Shinto Association, the head of that, the symbolic head of that is the emperor. So it is very important for the Abe government that the emperor and the royal family supports his government as well.
That's a very interesting fact to learn. We have an important summit coming up, while preparation is well underway for South Korea-U.S. Meeting for the summit between President Moon and Trump next week. The Trump administration is putting emphasis on the importance of South Korea, U.S., Japan trilateral cooperation in resolving North Korea's nuclear issue. How do you assess the significance of the trilateral cooperation in breaking the current nuclear impasse?
Well, the trilateral relationship has been crucial to the U.S. Position in Northeast Asia. It is, and the U.S. is very concerned because of the souring of relations between Korea and Japan. And they come to a point where they are trying to directly intervene. The U.S. Congress, cross-party, adopted a resolution declaring that the trilateral relation has to be even stronger and Korean-Japan relation has to improve. So they are taking it very seriously. And the U.S. also, when Foreign Minister Kang and the
Secretary of State Pompeo.
Secretary, Pompeo met, they made sure that the so-called the trilateral relations is strong and that the commitment to cooperation is strong as well. And I think when Lee Do-hun, the special representative for the
North Korea
affairs, met with Biegun, and on his way home, he stopped over at Tokyo to meet with his counterpart in Japan. And I think this was something that actually the Biegun and the American side has asked to be done. It is speculation is that some Americans have said that at the summit meeting, it's quite possible that President Trump might ask President Moon directly, what are you going to do in order to improve relations with Japan? That question might be raised. This is someone that speculates that this may take place. This is how serious the U.S. looks at the situation at the moment.
Well, it sounds like the problem is more serious than we think. Thank you, Professor, for your time today.
Thank you.